Good afternoon and welcome to the clinic for week 27 and 28 now. So it's absolutely flying by. Remember, if you want to discuss anything and you're an Academy member, use your WhatsApp group if you're watching this again, because I know a lot of you watch it afterwards. So make sure you use your WhatsApp group if you want to talk about anything. If you're not an Academy member and you're just casually browsing, you can find out more in the box below. So we've got an event on Friday. So we're going to keep this one punchy, but straight to the point. There's a few good things to go over, which we'll obviously do. But there's been not as many check-ins, but obviously because you come into the event on Friday, that's understandable because I'm going to see you all Friday, so I get it. So, but what we have had is a lot of questions and challenges, which I've pulled out the most important ones that are relevant for where we are at the moment. So I'm going to get into it. I've got a check-in to do, and then we've got a list of questions that I've pulled from other submissions that have come in, and like your general questions in your WhatsApp groups. So I'm going to go through a few of them. I'm going to try and not take up too much time this afternoon. Don't forget, you still got the clinic tomorrow at 4, as always, on a Thursday. And then we've got the event Friday. So it's a very busy week. We've got this afternoon. We've got the clinic tomorrow afternoon, and we've got an event all day Friday. So no one can ever say that we don't try to help, put it that way. Right, so we're going to get into the first check-in, which is from Steve Shawbreak. So it's a fairly brief one, to be honest. He's doing really well. I've been watching you, seeing your designs coming through, listening to what the guys are saying about the way things are going for you. I think things are going really well. I think you're doing fantastically. Can't really fault you at all. So let's start with number 1, celebrating wins. Coming to grips with the process, and we'll shortly have time to step away a little more and grow the KBB outside of the renovation business. Well, that's good. Like I say, renovations are good, aren't they? But they can get a bit like busy, and like, profit can be a bit elusive. Kitchens and bathrooms, the good thing about them is the more you focus on them, there is money to be made in them. And because when you get to a point where, when you're doing renovations, you're into all sorts, aren't you? You've got this guy, that guy, you're running around like a blue-ass fly sometimes, and it's very easy not to make money in that world. But the thing with your kitchens and bathrooms, you can go in and out in a week or 2 or 3, sometimes 4, but it's easy to quantify. That's what I'm doing. That's what I'm not doing. I think that's what I like about kitchens and bathrooms, is that you can really make it black and white. Whereas renovations can get a bit messy. So I probably understand why you're wanting to focus on this a bit more. Personal growth. So you set up a proper office with multiple screens. It makes work and life easier being away from the kitchen table. Now, I can't tell you enough. I'm literally going to use a slide at the event, which is just that, showing that the people in the academy that are doing this, that are putting a proper, or making a proper space for doing their work and prioritizing that space as a proper place to work, is so important. Because sometimes when people say to me, I'm struggling to do that, I think it's something that I'm going to start bringing up a lot more, actually, because what I've noticed is that the people that do make the proper work environment do a lot better, because they're making a proper space for it. So just make sure that you double down on that. Make sure you've got, as it says in the academy in early on, is make sure you got your headphones. You got a timer on your desk. You're doing concentrated blocks of work, and make space in the home for it. Everybody in the home should understand that you can't do this on the kitchen table. And if you do, it'll be very, very limited quality. And that's not good for anybody in the house. Remember what this means. It's for the whole household, and it's not just for you. So yeah, really well done on that. And I think, like I say, I'm going to double down on this quite a lot. Areas for support. Advice on supply only to the trades. Literally just them ordering from the catalogue with no real involvement from me. Now, I'm going to cover this. It was a question that I've been asked quite a lot recently about this. I think you've got to be careful here, because as soon as you step into that space, you're basically competing with everybody. You're not really gonna, why would they use you and not someone else? That's what you got to ask yourself. In business, you've always got to ask, if you're going to try and extract money from people, you've got to offer value. And when you say no involvement from me, that means like me saying, how could I run the academy and just have people paying and, doing all this stuff with no involvement from me? Yes, the academy and KBB is a good business, but it requires a lot of fucking effort as well. So it's not easy money. So you got to be careful when you go down that road of easy money. It never is. There's no such thing as easy money. So I would say be careful with that. Do what you've said above first. Concentrate on the KBB side of the business. Get your office in order. Make sure you're prioritizing that and see what you can make there first. Now, the only way you're going to ever get a tradie or someone buying off you is if you are networking and you're doing stuff that's getting your name about, because you're going to have to make personal relationships to do this. This is not something that you're going to be able to do by advertising it on your social media. No one's going to buy from that. You've got to get pally with a builder. I think what you need to do there is look at the builders campaign. So go into the academy. And this is literally what the builders campaign is sort of about. But it's not the no involvement from me angle. I think that's the bit you've got to get out of your head, is that there will always be involvement from you, especially if they buy from you and there's a fucking problem with the product or something like that, or there's a delivery that's late or, anything. It's all going to come back to you. They're not going to circle back to anyone else because you've made that relationship. So just know that nothing ever comes for free and there's always hassle involved in anything. So, yeah, go and look at the builders campaign is what I'd say to do there. Concerns, you've got none. Yeah, well, I would agree at the moment. As I think this transition for you is a bit different to some other people's, where they're sort of coming away from labour only work. You've got something that you want to do, something slightly different. You seem to be in control of it. Just keep us close and make sure that that every step you take in that direction, that you're keeping us consulted, and we can obviously help you spot problems before they become problems. This is something that people do a lot in the academy. They don't consult us on stuff until it's already gone wrong and then think that a phone call with me is going to solve everything. Don't get me wrong. Sometimes it does, and sometimes they go, right, shit, yeah, I need to do that. But then we're sort of digging ourselves out of a hole when we didn't need to fucking dig the hole in the first place. So always keep us close on what your plans are moving forward, mate. But yeah, other than that, let's say that's the end of your check-in. I'm really happy with where you're at. I think you should be too, but just write down them actions, what I've just give you there, and let's crack on with that. So, well, the next question I had was, should I do supply only? So this is, again, a number of people are starting to look at this. And as I've just said, if you're in the academy, the only iteration of doing supply only work is the builders campaign, where you are going to the local builders and striking up a relationship with them to use you for your design service, which is obviously through us, and then the supply of the product or the supply and fit. But builders are a rich source of leads a lot of the time. It's just, yes, there's a bit of work in getting into the builders, but people do have success with this. We launched it nearly a year ago now, and I would say that those that have tried it and applied themselves to it have had results. It's like everything, people will say, I tried the builders campaign, it didn't work. But when I sort of probe them on it and go, well, how closely did you follow the protocol that we told you to follow? Did you just do the fucking easy bit, send the stuff out in the post and put them through the CRM and forget them and never follow up? And, it's like anything with quotes. If you don't follow up, and any academy member should know that the step 5 in the sales process, the following up, is the most important bit. People think that the quote and the spreadsheet is the most important bit, telling you what you're going to earn. But following up is probably the most important part of the process. I mean, there isn't really a part of the process that isn't important. The surveys, obviously, you can make yourself look like a dick on the survey and it's all over. But let's assume that you do the survey well and you send the quote out. As long as you're not ripping people off, the quote won't be a problem. The problem will be that you don't follow up, that you do this effort and then go, okay. It's like going on a date with someone and then just not ringing them again. Well, they're not going to form a relationship, are you? Because you've just fucking ignored them. So That's why when you do these campaigns, it's, like you would with a normal customer, you need to follow up the builders, because the builders have a relationship with someone at the moment. You've got to muscle in on that relationship. You've got to get into that relationship and make yourself more helpful than the next person. That's all you have to do with, any relationship, is be more helpful than what they're already doing, or who they're already dealing with. That's why people change suppliers, because this supplier is more helpful than this supplier. It's not always about money. This one might be cheaper, but cause them loads of fucking problems. This one's a bit more expensive, but really looks after them. Which one are you going to go for? I mean, the idiots will go down this road because they're fucking idiots and they won't see the value. Saving £200 on a kitchen will be more important to them than making a million phone calls and chasing fucking missing parts and shit like that. But some people are that thick. But people with intelligence will go, well, actually, 200 quid extra to use this company that, I'm getting all this extra stuff from. My fucking hell, it's a no-brainer. And they'll see the value in the bigger picture. But that's how you muscle in on relationships. You just make sure that you're doubling down on being as helpful as you possibly can. And that, again, is if you're doing supply only, the only people you're going to do supply only to really is builders. It's not really going to wash with other fitters. Other fitters aren't going to come to another fitter to get the stuff. It's just not going to happen. So that's my answer on that one. Should you do supply only? I'd probably say, unless it's the builders campaign, no. So that's that one done. The next thing that keeps coming up as well, and for those of you that have got momentum in your business, is the importance of keeping that momentum going. So when we are getting busy, what we've got to be careful of is that we sorry, I thought I was having a technical problem then. The timer seemed to stop, but it didn't. It was my eyeballs that seemed to stop. So where we've got the what was I saying then? Momentum, yeah. So when people get momentum going, so let's say you get a sale, you get a couple of sales, you start moving, you're like, fucking hell, it's happening. Oh God, yeah, it's all happening. And then what people do is all the stuff that they were doing to make it start happen, they seem to not do it as much anymore. And I see this in people's scorecards quite a lot, and it's dangerous. And this is why I want to bring this up a lot, and hammer it, because if on the scorecard, when you've got leads and you've got inquiries and all the rest of it, and as you get towards the bottom, you've got like proposals sent, then you've got your proposals signed, and then you've got cash in the bank. You want that scorecard is designed to filter down, filter down. And what I see with people is when they get busy, the scorecard starts to work really well. They seem to get it filters down, and then you see a few weeks later on when they're doing well, better than they were, a lot better. But now the middle of the scorecard starts to become congested because they're still doing the stuff at the top, still doing surveys, still doing quotes, but they're getting lazy at following up now. They're getting lazy because they're going, a bit complacent, they're just like, I pick and choose my jobs now. Yeah, but you've got a shit conversion rate. So, now your conversion rate is starting to plummet. So you're still doing all the work at the top end, but you're not getting the results at the bottom end. So 2 things to mention here is, one, if you do that, cash flow is going to hit you really hard, because when you stop taking deposits, i.e. stop following up jobs and stop taking deposits as frequently as you were, because what we also see when people do this is they were taking deposits here and putting cash in the bank. Then they've slowed down doing that because they're not following up as many jobs, because they've took this cash in, this cash is sat in the bank. The head goes, we're safe, don't worry about it. Foot comes off the gas. Well, then what happens is this cash starts to drop quickly as projects kick in, and then you're like, shit, fucking, and then you get into that panic. And then this is something that, you can't let that happen. So 2 pieces of advice is always chase proposals, always follow up, get as much cash in the bank as you can. You want to make sure that every lead is sweated. You need to sweat those assets as hard as you can and make sure your conversion rate is high, because you'll never grow properly if your conversion rate's low. It's impossible. So you've got to keep your conversion rate up. That is the number one number in business, is your conversion rate. Because if all the other numbers are right, that is the number that will save you. Yeah. What I mean by that is, if you know that your average order is 10 grand and you know your average make 3 to 4 grand on a job, if your conversion rate is good, you're all right. If your conversion rate is shit, or it starts to go shit, then you're going to have problems, because then you're going to have to do more surveys, spend more on marketing. So these numbers now start to look out of kilter, because you're going to go, fucking, like, I haven't got time to do more of that, but now I need to. And that's where the stress starts. So your conversion rate is critically important. So you need to make, and again, that's where in these moments when these scorecards start to melt a little bit and deteriorate, you see that this conversion rate looks poor. At that moment in time, the conversion rate starts to look less. And we can't let that happen, because, like I've just said, cash flow will hurt you. And also what you'll end up doing is you'll end up getting into a panic and then chasing jobs that you wouldn't have said yes to before. So we had a discussion, me and Lee, yesterday, about a particular member who's very, very successful because they're very busy. Yeah. Loads of work. But there's a bit of a problem in this business because they're doing lots of work at not a big margin. So what's happening is, because they're pricing too low, too many customers are saying yes. Yeah. And that sounds like, how can that be a problem that too many customers say yes? Because you want to be the one that's deciding which customers you chase. Yeah. So I would always decide, when I did surveys and when I was out doing it myself, I'd always say, right, I want to win that one. I'm not too asked about that one. Do you know what I mean? Or I would pick and choose, but I would always make sure that my conversion rate was up. So even though this one I might not have fancied, if I needed to make a sale, I'd still go and make that sale, or I'd still chase it as hard as I chase this one, because I needed to get my conversion rate up. I was always aware that my conversion rate couldn't start going to like 15, 20, 25%, because that means that if that's my new conversion rate, I've got to fucking spend more on marketing to get those jobs in, and then I've got to do more surveys, and then I've got to be out fucking more. And it's like, that's not the life that I signed up for. That's why keeping the conversion rate up is important. But if you've got loads of jobs out there where your prices are low and customers are saying yes, the customers are choosing you. And that might sound like that's what you want, but when it's loads of low margin work, that is not what you want. You want the sort of rate, if you're in that situation, and some people are, not loads, but there's a few, where you've got loads of customers saying yes, but really you're busy with low margin stuff. Yes, your business is doing well, you're not in any danger, but you're very worked. Do you know what I mean? You are grafting for a smaller reward, whereas if you just hiked your prices up 10-15%, because once the demand is there for your services, you can put them prices up, and that'll make some people fall away, and that'll make some people stay. And then you go, right, that job's got 4 grand in it, that job's got 5 grand in it, that job's got 3 grand in it. I'm going to fucking go after them 3 as a priority. They're the ones I really want to win. Yeah. These ones I'm going to sort of not try as hard and maybe hike the price up a little bit. If I see a reason where there's a reason to put the price up, I'm just going to do it, because I'm not going to accept that lower margin all the time. And that's important, because what will happen is, yes, initially the conversion rate will drop, but over time the leads and the quality of it will start to improve, because you are not just chasing absolutely everything, because just because somebody wants you to come and do a survey for them or do an appointment doesn't mean you have to, and again, you starting to work out what areas you actually want to work in and what type of customer you actually want to work for is really important. So for some people, there is a purge needed where they need to get this right. They need to get this right, because momentum can be dangerous as well if it's in that world, because you'll never get off that treadmill. You'll low margin work and loads of it. All right, I'm getting loads of yeses, loads of customers are going ahead, but is it the right type of work? That's something that you've got to be careful of. So there's obviously a lot to consider there with momentum. You've got to keep it going, and you've got to make sure that once you've got demand, that you are chasing the right type of work and not having too many people come to you going, yes, yes, yes. Imagine if you had 20 quotes out there and they weren't quite the margin that you wanted, and then all of a sudden every fucking proposal got signed and everyone wanted to do the job, you'd be fucked, wouldn't you? Because, and you might think, well, why would I be fucked? Because you've just committed yourself to 20 jobs of low margin work. So at the end of it, you're going to be fucking where you are now. You're just kicking the can down the road. You know what I mean? Yes, you will have an opportunity to build your brand, but if you're in that position, you've probably already built your brand to a degree. And this is the point where you should be raising your prices and doing less for more. Yeah. And this is where the maths need to start changing a little bit as you start getting momentum. And obviously, this is aimed at people that are moving. You know, this is if you're early on and you think, fucking, I'd like to have that problem. Yeah, I get it. You know, but some of you are going to get there. You are going to get there. And people always think they're not going to get there, but everyone that tries always does. Yeah, so I just wanted to sort of cover that. And like I said I would double down on it, and I have done. If that is you as well, the new KBB Academy Plus that we're launching, all the new features in KBB Academy Plus, you really need to be looking at these. And because this is going to help you have visibility over these things. Because all that stuff, what I've just mentioned there, is the sad thing is, some people are in that situation and they don't even know it. So this is where the additional tools for KBB Academy Plus are going to be really critical for us to help you and spot these things, because I can spot these things from a mile off. And that's the thing. That's the thing about the academy is we're here to stop you from hitting the tree as you're coming down the hill, and you might not even see the tree. And that's why you're in the academy, really. You know, and people who get that will understand that, you know, we're here to stop you, and we will spot problems before they're not even a problem that you would have even thought of, because you've just not been there before. But I have, you know, and I've all these things I'm talking to you about here, I've done all these things. I have chased loads of shit work, been busy doing shit, you know, even when I thought I was doing well because I still had my own brand, but I was still fucking doing the shit work for too long. I didn't make these changes, you know, early enough. I kept myself struggling, because you'll have that honeymoon period where you do labour only work, you come out, oh yeah, I got more money. Then you get that going, and then you program yourself still not to charge what you should be charging. For sometimes that goes on too long, you know, and that's what I'm saying. That's what we've got to start thinking. I need to do more for less, and then that's sort of the key here. So that's that covered. So the next thing I wanted to bring up was, you know, taking action today, and stop kicking things down the road. This is another thing. So we had somebody who we said to him, he's been messaging in his WhatsApp group quite a lot. And I said, look, there's an event coming up on Friday. I think you'd get something from it. I think you should come. He's like, well, you know, I'd really love to. And this guy's been in the academy a little while now. I don't think he's ever been to an event. And again, what I've said about people that come to the events is they always, the ones that come consistently are always doing the best. And there's people that come to every event and they've got good businesses. So if you've got a good business and you're already moving, why do you need to come to the event? You know, well, what does it tell you if the most successful people in the academy are at those events, even though they're already successful? Because we get a lot from these days. We all do. I learn a lot on these days. You learn a lot on these days. We can't beat being together. When you look at, you know, this is all right on the screen. You know, it's convenient, but you can't beat being face to face. So there's just a lesson in these messages what I wanted to bring up, because the conversation was like this. No, I can't make it Friday because we're going to be halfway through a job. And I was like, mate, everyone else in the room is halfway through a fucking job. Like, what sort of an excuse is that? You know, surely it's not too much to ring the customer and go, look, Friday, I'm not going to be in. I've got something to do. Like, it's Monday now. Ring them and just say, sorry, it's 4 days notice. You know, like, people know you've got a life and you've got other things to do. It's just, it is what it is. You know, I said, look, be at the event. You know, if you can't ring that customer and just say, you know, I'll be at the event. Like, everyone else in the room that day has done that. They must have told a customer they're not going to be there. Otherwise, how are they going to be there? You know, so it's not really a fucking excuse, that, mate. And you've got these issues that you want to discuss, and you clearly need some inspiration, and you know, you need a day out of this to reset your mind, and that's what the events are for. But I think that the other thing that I said to this person was, you know, where are your priorities? If your priority is fitting a kitchen right now, and it's not even your own kitchen, you know, it's for someone else. If that's your priority on Friday and not coming to the event, then you're fucked. Do you know what I mean? I'm sorry, but there's no excuse. There's no hope. You know, if your priority is fitting a kitchen for someone else instead of coming to the event and bettering yourself, then you're not going to make it. You're not going to make it because your priorities are already fucked. We only have 4 to 6 events a year. You're telling me you can't get there for one day and make that effort 4 to 6 times a year, and that's your level of commitment to having a day out of your business and resetting your mind and getting some inspiration and being around the right people, then you have got absolutely fucking no hope. So, you know, that is as brutal as I gave it. And he was like, oh, well, you know, I'll be at the next one. Well, that's fucking months off, mate. Like, how long do you think you're going to be alive for? Like, by the time the next event comes around, you could have attended this one, got a burst of enthusiasm, gone at it, and by the next event, you're in a completely different place. Whereas now you're going, oh, I'm going to kick it down the road for another 3 months because I've got a kitchen to fit on Friday. It's like, fucking listen to yourself here, please, for fuck's sake. You know, like, listen to what you're saying and how it sounds to me, and you want me to help you. You know, if you want me to help you, you have got to do something for yourself. You know, and if that's as simple as having one day out to attend an event, come and spend the day with me and my team and everyone else that's coming from the academy, then, and you're not willing to do that because you're fitting a kitchen for someone else, then you're already fucked. Your head's already gone. You know, you've got to get at the races here, mate. Anyway, long story short, he said he'd come. So in the end, I sort of made my point. And he said, right, yeah, I've rang the customer and I'm going to be there. But the lesson in this is get your priorities in order. And you've got to do stuff today. Stop putting stuff off to tomorrow. Like, today is a fucking day where things need to happen. It's not about, oh, I'll do it tomorrow. I'll do it next week. I'll do it next. Like, I'll come to the next one. I'm sure you will, but you fucking won't, because you'll get close to that one. And then, oh, there'll be something else that fucking comes up. Do you know what I mean? There always will. We've got to commit to things. We've got to commit to action, you know, doing things and knowing what's right for us instead of staying in our uncomfortable comfort zone and where we don't like being, but we won't get out of it. Like, what is it all about? You know, we're in the academy for a reason. You know, you've come here to separate yourself from the herd, to get away from everybody else. And then you come here and do the same fucking stuff that everyone else does out there. It's like, well, if you're not going to come through that door and then change, then there's no fucking point in being here. Because we're about doing things not differently, but just doing things the right way. You know, this is the right way. You know, you should be doing stuff for yourself. That's what this is about. This is about you getting paid for what you're fucking good at and taking the money home to your family instead of it going in the pocket of fucking Howdens or Wicks and big corporates that just fucking do what with it, give it to shareholders. You know, you can take a little piece of that to your family, and that's what the KBB Academy is there to help you do. Then that is it. You know, in a nutshell, that's why we're here. And now, if you're not going to prioritize that for you and your family, and I'm the one that's having to fucking, you know, push this all the time, like, you know, it's like they're not my family. It's not my life that's going to get fucked by not taking action, because I will always take action. I'll always do the right thing. But you've got to come into this environment and be absorbing it. You've got to come into it and be like, yeah, you know, this is, you know, a bit of effort here. A few months in, I'll be in a different place. And you will be. No one that's come in has ever... It's never taken someone that long. When they apply themselves, I would say people can get results quickly, 2 to 3 months. You know, I would say when you fanny about, it will take longer. When you don't give yourself the right environment, you don't, you know, set yourself up your little home office, and you don't prioritize the work, and you don't do the 90-minute sessions, and you don't do the things that we say, basically, like plan your week on a Sunday. You know, it's just basic rhythm and routine. That's all the academy is about. It's just getting to basic rhythms and routines and just keep doing it. Just keep doing it until something happens. I trust me that by doing what feels like fuck all, and why am I doing this? Just trust what we're saying and look around you at the people that are doing it in the academy that are doing really well. It isn't rocket science at the end of the day. This is just adapting to a new way of thinking, the right way of thinking. But it's not new, it's old. It's just that you've never been privy to it. You've always been locked in the cupboard going, you just go and fucking fit what I tell you to fit and I'll pay you what I feel like paying you. That's basically where most people have been. Someone else has been dictating that to them. This is your opportunity to dictate it to yourself. So yeah, when people say things to me like, and use this sort of, I can't come, I'm halfway through a job. Like, what the fuck? Like, it's just, come on. We've got to do better than that. We really have. But we're going to move on because I'm obviously getting on one and I don't want to get my blood pressure up 2 days before an event. So let's move on to something else that, again, has been brought up a couple of times. Remember a few months ago when I talked about, can you become a millionaire by having a kitchen business and investing your money? Well, the answer is yes, over a period of time, just investing 20 grand a year in the stocks and shares ISAs. But obviously, since then, Rachel Reeves, or whatever she's called, has tried to fuck with our plans, let's just say. But we need to not get confused here, is that there's a difference between cash ISAs and stocks and shares ISAs. So what the government are going after is the cash ISAs. Because when people put money in a cash ISA, it just sits there doing fuck all. Whereas when you put stuff in a stocks and shares ISA, it gets invested into the businesses. So that's what they want you to do. They want you to use this ISA, not this one. So they're de-incentivizing this one and going, oh yeah, we'll tax you on that, but this one we won't as much. Well, they fucking might do at some point. But the point being is that at the moment, the plan that I told you a few months ago to get where you want to be by retirement age is still intact, even though there's been some conflicting news stories. And I've had a couple of people message me about this. So my theory is always that if a couple of people have mentioned it, then a lot more people are thinking it. So I wanted to clear that up and say, don't stop your investing. It was funny. Well, it wasn't funny, but when I told everyone to do this at the last event, I know a lot of people ploughed what spare cash they had into these ISAs. And then obviously the tariffs and Donald Trump put these tariffs in and it all went tits up, didn't it? So I must have lost, fuck knows, it was a lot. But it's bounced back now. But at the time, it was like, shit, I've just told everyone to do that and it's just gone tits up. But it's back to where it was now. It's back to like 10% overall over the last couple of years. So it's still a good investment, better than a cash ISA. So don't look at the doom and gloom on these things. Keep going for your stocks and shares ISAs. Obviously, I'm not a financial advisor, so you need to speak to someone professional. But again, I've always mentioned the S&P 500 and those types of investments. If you look historically, they have good returns and it's quite reliable. But obviously, any investment is done at your own risk. And you can lose money as well. So it is just always worth mentioning that, it's clever to invest. It really is. Just do it in the right places. And, if you can put away 20 grand a year for the next 10, 15 years, you'll be in a really good place by the time it comes to retirement. And you can use one of these businesses in the academy to do that. I know because people are doing it. But again, back to the point we made earlier about the investing, into the momentum and making sure you got the profit in the jobs and all that shit. If you ain't got the profit in the jobs, you ain't going to be doing it, are you? So this is where everything in the academy, everything's linked. Everything's linked in the academy. You got to look at the academy like a spider's web. You've got your sales process, you've got your conversion rate, you've got your scorecard, you've got your 90 minutes, you've got your cash flow sheet, you've got all this shit, profiting, your quoting sheet, all that stuff. It all makes up the complete circle, and that is when you get it all right, you can do things like this. You can get the investment in. You can definitely do it 100%. Like I say, and everyone should be striving to do that. So we'll move on from that one because that's done now. So something else that I keep hearing people say is a word like, and I think it's self-encouragement, and I like it. But I also want to sort of ground it in a bit of reality. So what people keep saying is, I'll get there, I'll get there, I'll get there, and I'm like, you're already there, and I think sometimes people get very sort of fixated on where they're trying to get instead of looking at where they are and how far they've come. Because I believe that just getting into the academy and just getting moving and just getting your website done and just getting into it is an achievement in itself, because you've got to have thought differently at some point. You wouldn't be here if you didn't think differently at some point. It's just that some people think differently, jump through, and then stop thinking differently. And that's the fucking problem, is that we've got to keep on that track of thinking and changing our mind. Remember, learning is important, but unlearning is even more important, because if you're bringing in new information and you're blocking it with old information because you're going, well, that doesn't make sense because I think this, and you go, well, I'm going to stick with what I think, and you don't listen to the new information, especially from someone who's fucking been there and done it, then there's the idiot syndrome that creeps in. You go, oh, I'm going to hold on to this instead because this has served me well. Do you know what I mean? Well, it fucking hasn't. So get rid of that and start doing this. And I think that this, I will get there, is sometimes you've got to remember that you're already there. You're already here. You've already arrived at the end of the day. It's just now a matter of keeping it moving and keeping that momentum going forward, because this is the destination. The journey's not over, but the journey is, the journey is the destination, is what I'm trying to say. Being in the academy is the destination. It just gets better and better and better and better the further you stay at it and commit yourself to it. So yeah, just ground yourself in that when you keep saying, yeah, I'll get there, I'll get there, I'll get there. You're already there. You are already there. And some people might go, oh, shut up, because I'm still struggling, I'm still this, I'm still that. But the fact that you are sat here now thinking about the future and the problems that you've got, I think that you've got to sort of reflect on that and go, if you have already mentally committed to fixing the problems, you're already halfway there. It's like when people say, recognizing the problem is half of the problem. When you make a decision to do something, it's painful at first because you're just not ready for it. You're not. And this is where people, I see this in the academy, some people come in full of enthusiasm and they're like, right, yeah, fucking, because they can see it. They can fucking see it, but then something stops them from taking action. And I'm going to jump into that point next, because I've covered that I will get there thing, ground it in the fact you're already here. But when some people get here, then something stops them. So I want to cover this off as sort of a thing on its own. So when people say something stops me, like I get in, because people come in and go, yeah, I can see what the academy is about. I can, I really get it. I can see how this will benefit my life quite a lot. But then when they jump in, they're like, can't get going. It's like, fucking hell. It's like walking through treacle or, having your feet concreted to the floor. And there's a number of reasons why this happens, and I want to cover off why I think it happens. There will be other deeper issues at play with some people, where they need to have a chat with a therapist or something like that, or someone who's professional, because some of us do have mental blockages. I won't say it's not illness, it's just blockage. It's like, why do I self-sabotage so much? Like, why do I go against my own beliefs? Why do I know this but do that? Why do I have this dissonance in I know that this is the right thing to do, but I still do the wrong thing. So, we really need to dig into these things an awful lot. So I'm going to give a few bullet points on, especially for Academy members, what I believe that it is, and and not that this is addressing the core of the problem, because if you've got something from your past, this country is riddled with trauma. Yeah, everyone everybody has some level of childhood trauma. Yeah, it's just like the new buzzword, isn't it? Trauma. But, and you might be wondering what you're walking on about. Just research it. Just research it, because understanding it and knowing that actually, fucking hell, I've got traits here that I never understood. They've stopped me from progressing, and I never even fucking realised that I've gone around this circle. Now, when you get to like 30, 40, around that age, 40 odd, I'd say the catchment is between 40 and 50. I think if you're past 50, you're already sort of programmed into that's how you are. And, you're from an earlier generation where, the world was a nicer place, really, in most ways. I know there was still shit then. But, my generation and the people a little bit older than me and people a little bit younger than me, this area of men is fucking riddled with shit. And it is really counterproductive when you're trying to be successful. So we need to address these things. And sometimes you do need to speak to someone professionally to unlock the things going on in your head, because they're not going to go away on their own. We might be able to put patchwork over them. We might be able to get going for 6 months and have a push, but ultimately the things will come home to roost again. They'll just keep coming back. So I think that if you think that if you've recognized a pattern in your life at this point and you're saying, fucking hell, I'm in the academy and I'm doing this, but this isn't the first time I've done this. This isn't the first time I've had an idea, jumped in and then struggled to fucking do it. Because some people, the academy is not the first rodeo, but it's sometimes the second, third, fourth, fifth attempt at something, and they've still not succeeded. So there's a pattern now developing. So if you recognize yourself there, you need to speak to someone properly. And talk about this pattern of sabotage, which is what it is. This pattern of unsuccess, when success was the intention, but that didn't materialize. And you are the only thing. We are the only thing that ever stops ourselves from being successful. We don't get stopped by other people. And it's easy to sit there and go, well, that fucking person done me over and this situation happened and that distracted me. Ultimately, and no matter what's happened, they are all excuses, because the only thing that really stopped you, no matter what happened, was how much you let things get to you. Now, I know that you might say, fuck, that's horrible. I've lost a relative and I've had a divorce and I've done this and I've done that. And, oh, how could you say that? But the brutal truth, right, and this is just the way it is, the brutal truth is that time just carries on. Life just carries on. Things just keep going. No matter what fucking happens in your head, your life, anything like that, the world continues. No one fucking cares at the end of the day. Most people, I've always said 80% of people don't give a fuck about your problems, and the other 20% are glad you fucking got them. And, that's just the way the world is, unfortunately. That's why when you get into a community and you get around people that understand you, like the academy, I believe there's a lot of strength in this community and people feel safe here, because with me and my team, we will look after you. We will be there. And luckily, we understand these things. So we can work at a deeper level here to make sure that people are looked after and heard. Because that's the worst thing about these things, is that people don't feel seen. They don't feel heard. They don't feel like anyone cares about them. And trust me, I care about you. Lee cares about you. My whole team care about you, because especially me. I mean, I have a huge emotional attachment to the academy because of my own personal journey, the fucking pain I've been through to do what you're trying to do. And that's why I've made the academy there, so it's easier for the people. It's not dead easy, but it's easier. It still needs work, but it's in front of you. You just got to do it. And I understand what the sleepless nights are like. I know what it's like to not know where your next mortgage payment's coming from, or have a Christmas without presents for the kids. And I've been there, and I know it's painful, and I know it's difficult to get up every day and keep going. So let me go through the things that I believe, and these are the things that kept me going. Yeah, yes, I didn't do any sort of therapy back then. Would I do it now? Probably. If I thought that I had a self-sabotage or some sort of issue, that I had a cycle, going on. So number one, what kept me going was the belief in yourself and feeling worthy of the opportunity. Now, worthiness is really difficult because even I get massive imposter syndrome sometimes where I'm like, fucking hell, you know, why do people listen to me so much and why do people believe me so much? And, you know, people come to me all the time for problems and counsel and coaching and all the rest of it. And in the dark of night, I sit there and go, fucking hell, you know, why do so many people come to me? And it's like, and you forget what you've got to give. Do you get what I mean? Because you don't, unless you're an arrogant bastard or someone who's just fucking up their own ass. If you're just a normal guy like us, then you'll always sit there and go, just it's alien to us. So this worthiness creeps in for all of us. I mean, I suffer with it myself. You know, when you think about what the academy is becoming, I'm really having to work hard to stay in front of that because the demand on me is becoming greater. And don't get me wrong, I am here for that. I'm all for it. But you know, sometimes you do look at it and go, fucking hell, you know, it's not pressure, but you think, well, why me? Why are people coming to me? But again, but when you're just being outward and you're trying to help people, that's what happens. You know, and it's the same in your business. You're being outward and you're just trying to help people get the kitchens and bathrooms done, which I think is a massive thing because again, that was one of my goals was to help people get their kitchen done and the bathroom done because I understood what it meant to them, you know, and it's a really big part of people's lives. And that's why you can build such a good business because people just love you when you do it right. So feeling worthy is something that you're always going to battle with, but it's something that you've got to remind yourself of who you are, what you're doing, who you're doing it for, and all these things. So grounding yourself that you do deserve this opportunity. You do deserve it because you're a good person and you're trying hard for the right reasons. And yeah, do you know what? Success should fucking come to me because I'm doing good things for people and they are also benefiting from that. And, you know, that's like we're either doing good projects for customers and making them happy and their families happy because they're getting a beautiful space to live their life in. And you've been part of that. That's a huge honor. And then for us, you know, in the academy, we're helping people build businesses and change their lives, you know, so, but we all deserve the success that we're attracting, you know, so we've got to stay grounded in that we are worthy of this opportunity and you've got to believe it's going to happen. So feeling ready to accept it is one thing, but believing it will happen is the other. And they're the things that I would say. The next point I've got is vision. So you've got to have the vision, believe the vision, and feel worthy of what that will bring. That makes sense. Because if you don't have the fucking vision, i.e., your declaration, if you're an academy member, your declaration is your vision. That's the big vision. That's the sort of put your head in the clouds and where do you want to fucking be? What's the dream? Yeah, that's the vision. Now we've got to believe it's going to happen. Yeah, so we've done that. You look at that declaration and that vision and go, is that impossible? Can I achieve that? If my life depended on it, and it does, could I do that? Well, the answer is going to be yes. Yeah, fucking course I can. You know, I'm capable of this. Do I believe I will do it? Right. Do I believe it? Not do I believe I will do it, but do I believe it will happen? You've got to believe, like, without any single doubt that that is going to happen and that when it does, you're worthy of it. So that circle has got to be complete. If you've got a shit vision or no vision, you don't believe it's going to happen and you don't even feel worthy of it, you're fucked from the off, aren't you? Do you get what I mean? So you've got to get those 3 points grounded. Vision, declaration. Yes, I believe that can happen. There's nothing stopping me. All I got to do is learn stuff and do stuff. It's not fucking rocket science when you think about it. And then worthy. Do I deserve to have that business? And do I deserve? Yeah, I do. I've got a fucking family. I'm a good guy. I've done good things for people. And even if you've been a bellend in the past or you've been a tosser, time for change. You know, don't live in the fucking past. You know, move on. Be the person you want to be moving forward. Don't be haunted by what's in the, you know, the skeletons in the closet anymore. It's time to fucking move past it. And then when we've got that, what's the plan? Right, so I've got these 3 things. I'm fucking right. I'm having it. Got my vision. I believe I'm going to fucking do this. And when it happens, I'm going to fucking accept it because I'm worthy of it. What's the plan? How are we going to do it? So this is where the plan comes in because the plan is in the academy. And this is why I always say to people, just sit down and do the fucking work. The 90-minute sessions, work through the videos. If even in your first month, your 90-minute sessions are just watching all the videos. So you're going to spend 4 90-minute sessions a week just watching all the videos. You're going to just get the videos watched. and then start putting the implementing it after that. But you just get committed to these 3, 4, 5, 90-minute sessions a week, and you just keep going. That's the commit. That's the plan. That's just baby steps. Let's get that rhythm in. Let's get that going, and that's the plan to get moving. The next one is the environment. So have you got a space in the home to make it happen? Somewhere that you can, like I have my office in here, and people know not to disturb me when I'm in here. And, this is my place where I can work in silence. That's why the walls are black as well, so it's dark. And this is my environment because this makes me work harder and it makes me work better without distractions. My eyes are focused on one thing. Do you get what I mean? So I'm anal about that and making sure that I've got a proper space for it. Is your environment right when you're doing the work? Get a fucking computer with the screens, 200 quid on the screens. Get yourself set up, headphones, boom, focusing, yeah? And make sure that everyone in the house understands. I'm not doing it on the fucking dining table. If I need a space in the spare bedroom or wherever it might be in the house, this business has got to take priority, for fuck's sake. Everyone in the house has to dance to that tune a little bit, because they all fucking need the money that you're going to go make. So let's play the game, shall we? Let's get something fucking set up in the home and do it. Then the last thing we've got to tie into it is the mind and the body. So it's all right having all that, but if you're eating shit, you're drinking alcohol, you're not sleeping well, you're not hydrating yourself, you're mineral and vitamin deficient, all those things, you're not exercising, you're being stagnant, you're fucking stressing all the time because you're not doing any sort of mindfulness, you're not, going out. Like in the morning, it's good to get out, go in the garden, have a coffee, even if it's cold, stand on the grass, do some breath work, feel the fresh air, think about what you're going to do for the day and fucking get on with it. That in itself will clear a lot of headspace. I can tell you now, when I come down, and I've done it this morning to be fair, and I hate doing it, but when I came down this morning, because obviously I'm so fucking busy this week leading up to the event, that I didn't do that this morning, and I can feel it now. I can feel my head clogging up because I've not cleared it this morning. I've not cleared my brain. I'm already feeling a bit on it. I'm starting to tail off already. So it's not good. And again, I'm not perfect, but we've got to recognize that my mind and my body don't feel in sync today. What am I going to do? If you need to take a rest, take a rest. Don't burn yourself out, because when you over engage in things and you think, oh, I just need to stay in it, I need to stay in it, that's burnout. Burnout isn't when you burn out and stop. Burnout is when you can't stop and you're just constantly fucking in something and you can't pull your head out of it. That is what burnout looks like. So that's it for me. You need to focus on all these areas. If you've got the belief, you're worthy, and you've got your vision, you've got your plan. So the plan is your 90-minute sessions, doing the stuff in the academy, just working through all the stuff that we tell you to do, coming to the clinics, doing the events, all the fucking stuff. Integrate yourself hard into this community and what we're telling you to do, and you will get there. Nobody ever has done that and failed, ever. They just don't, and they never will, because what we're putting out there is solid. The only difference is the people that don't make it work are the people that don't do it. Make sure we've got the environment to do it, and then we're looking after our mind, body, we're hydrating, we're exercising, we're doing all the right things to make sure that the machine that drives everything is in the best condition it can be in. All right, you might be a little bit unhealthy now, but we'll get there over time. We'll flush out, get rid of the alcohol. Doesn't do you any fucking good at all. Get rid of the cigs. Just start walking, do whatever it is you need to do. This is the problem. Some of you are sat there going, you already fucking know all this. You're just not doing it. So it's time to come off this clinic today and just get on with it straight away. And even if you are doing it, revisit all this and do it better, because this is about improvement as well. So we'll leave it there. I think we've hit that one hard at the end. I hope you got a lot of value from that, because I think that I know a lot of people needed to hear that. So we'll see you on Friday at the event. Those of you that are coming, don't forget you've got your clinic tomorrow at 4:00 with Lee and Ariana. And like I say, we've got busy times at the moment. There's loads going on. There's loads we're going to talk about on Friday. We've got the Facebook Live Wednesday next week as well. So it's busy. There's loads going on. There's loads of new services and stuff coming online with the Academy. Loads of product updates with the supply services side as well. So yeah, it's a good time to be here. It's a good time to be, part of this movement, and, don't be your own worst enemy. and I'll see you on the next one. Take care. Bye bye.